Let's head back to 1691 Boston and burn ourselves a witch. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well out there. And we're into the final week in October. In 7 days, it's the big day, Halloween. And I'm going to give you a little update what reviews I'm going to do this week. Today, we're going to talk about Warlock from 1991. In a few days, we're going to talk about In the Mouth of Madness, John Carpenter film from mid-90s. And then for the big Halloween review, it's going to be Creepshow 2. I did Creepshow 1 last year. This year, we're going to do the sequel. And I hope to get a cool intro film this week so I can tack that on to the beginning of that review. Now, do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe. I greatly would appreciate that. Hit the bell so you get a notification every time I upload a new video. And share this video as well. I greatly would appreciate that. Now that business is out of the way, let's talk about 1991's Warlock. This film was directed by Steve Miner. Steve Miner had directed Friday the 13th 2 in 81, Friday the 13th Part 3 in 82. He did House in 85, but then he took a little bit of break from horror. He did Soul Man and a couple episodes of The Wonder Years, but in 88 he came back to direct this film. Now, this film was released January 11th of 1991. Now, this was finished and completed in 88, and even theatrical trailers ran before movies in 89, but it didn't get released until January 11th of 1991, and the reason being is this movie was produced by New World Pictures. They put the money up for the film, but unfortunately, before they could release it, they filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Trimark Pictures bought the film rights and the rights to any sequels that could possibly be made off of it, and they released it in 91. The cast here is Julian Sands plays the title character, Warlock or Male Witch. Richard E. Grant plays Renfrin, and he is a witch hunter. And Laurie Singer plays Cassandra, and she is this woman who gets tied up in all this shit in present day or 1988. Now, this film opens up in 1691 outside of Boston. They actually shot it in Plymouth Plantation, right outside of Plymouth, Massachusetts. If you've never been there, if you're ever in Massachusetts, check it out. I've been there with my wife and my son and my parents. And it's pretty cool. As soon as the movie started, I hadn't seen this movie in probably about 15, 20 years. As soon as the opening, I couldn't remember the beginning of the film. When they showed it, I'm like, that looks like Plymouth Plantation. I hopped online, and sure enough, that's where they shot it. And we see these priests walking toward this tower, and we see Julian Sands, the Warlock character, chained up there, and they were going to basically burn him at the stake for being a heretic and being in the devil worship. And we're introduced to Richard E. Grant. He is the witch hunter that brought the Warlock in. The Warlock gets away and gets sent into present time or 1988, and Richard E. Grant's on his tail because he gets sent into the future, kind of like Terminator with Kyle Reese, to hunt him down and stop him, because his whole plan is to combine these 3 chapters or these 3 pieces of the Devil's Bible and bring about the undoing of creation and bring back dark times into the universe. That is the Warlock's whole plan. He runs into Cassandra in modern day Los Angeles, kills her roommate, puts a curse on her, and the movie turns into a road movie for a little while, until we get our final confrontation in Boston, Massachusetts. And we have this final confrontation in the cemetery, and we have pretty much a happy ending. They dispatch of the Warlock. Richard E. Grant goes back to his time, and Laurie Singer gets the curse lifted, and she is back to live her normal life. And that is basically the plot of Warlock. Now, the positives of this film. Julian Sands is great as a title character. He is menacing, he's charming, just gives a great performance. Richard E. Grant is fantastic as Renfrin, as our witch hunter. And him and Julian Sands have some great chemistry when they're on screen together, because these are 2 foes going at each other, and they are fantastic when they're on screen together. Some of the makeup effects hold up really well. Carl Fullerton, who Steve Miner worked with on Friday the 13th Part 2, came in to do the makeup effects here. And some of the makeup effects really do hold up. A few of them don't, but most of them work really well. Now, some of the directing is pretty nice by Steve Miner. He keeps the pace moving, and that movie's an hour and 43 minutes long. So the pace isn't too bad. There's a lot of story to get through here, and he does a nice job with the pacing of it. He does a nice job shooting it. I think some of the limitations in directing are when they're trying to pull off some of the other effects, like the animation style effects they have to put in here, and the projection screen effects. I think that holds back on some of the directing, because they were limited at the time for what they had to do. Now, this movie did have a $7 million budget, which in 88 was pretty healthy, but they were definitely punching above their weight class with some of the effects they were trying to pull off. And to watch it in today's eyes on high def, a lot of the effects don't work. They look cheap, they don't look convincing, and you can tell they didn't have the money to properly pull them off. When I was a kid and watched this and rented it from the video store on VHS, I remember the effects looking pretty convincing, but watching them now on high def, they don't hold up so much. So that's one of the drawbacks of this film. Laurie Singer is a drawback as well. I don't think she brings anything to this character, and I don't think she has great chemistry with Richard E. Grant, and I don't think it's Richard E. Grant's fault. I just think she's not that great of an actress. I think they could have hired any actress, anybody better. Didn't even have, and they would have did much better with the part. She's really just there to whine, complain, and at the end of the film, her and Richard E. Grant's character start to like each other. But they kind of avoid the love interest aspect of it. They definitely care about each other by the end of the film, but they kind of avoid that, which was nice because it's cliche, and it was better not to do it. They show enough to know they care about each other, but they don't go all the way, which I appreciate that. But I just don't think Laurie Singer had a whole lot of chemistry with Richard E. Grant. So their banter is okay, but I just think she holds it back a little bit. Again, some of the effects just don't work here. In today's eyes, they look awful. Now, there's a really cool scene about halfway through the film when the Warlock hits the road where he comes to this trailer park and there's a church and you can hear choir music getting sung. And there's this kid on this swing set at this little playground and the Warlock has a conversation with him. And it's not a menacing one. Actually, it's quite jovial and they're getting along, actually. And the Warlock happens to bring up and he goes, "Why aren't you at church if everybody else is at church?" He goes, "Oh, my dad doesn't believe in that, so I don't have to go." And then the Warlock kind of asked him if he was ever baptized. He's like, "No, my dad wouldn't allow it because he doesn't believe in any of that hocus pocus." We don't see it, but the Warlock kills the kid because he can use parts of his body to make this potion that allows him to fly. Now, originally they were going to show the Warlock killing this child, but they didn't shoot the scene because they thought it was going to be too gruesome. And there are some gruesome aspects when Warlock uses his magic to kill people. And there's some cool inventive things for sure. But overall, this movie is just okay. There's some fun aspects from it still. I had a good time watching it, but other than that, it's just okay. It's not the greatest. If you've never seen it, check it out, especially if you like witchcraft movies. And just Julian Sands' performance and Richard E. Grant's performance alone is worth watching. These two gentlemen are really, really good. And when they're on screen together, I love their banter back and forth and them going at each other. So that's worth watching it alone. But overall, the movie's just okay. It doesn't hold up well. Now, I don't remember the sequels. I'm going to review those down the line. I own the box set from Vestron. I haven't seen Warlock Armageddon in forever, longer than I've seen this film. And I don't remember the third one at all. I might never seen it. I don't know. I'll review those maybe in the spring or during the winter. But overall, I would give Warlock a 5.5 out of 10. It's a decent enough time. It doesn't hold up as well as I remember. Again, this has been 15, 20 years since I've seen it last. But yeah, 5.5 out of 10. You could still watch it and have a good enough time with it. And it's worth it for Julian Sands and Richard E. Grant alone. Have you ever seen Warlock? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this video. I would appreciate that. I'll be back in a few days with John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. But until then, I'm just going to leave you with